now on search and seizure. So the most common question now is, what is the constitutional guarantee? Diba? What is the constitutional guarantee regarding the conduct of search and seizure? Now, we all know that the Article 3 Bill of Rights of the 1987 Philippine Constitution provided for the conduct of search and seizure. However, what is stated in the Philippine Constitution provides that no unreasonable searches and seizure must be conducted over a certain person. Hence, the conduct of search and seizure must be reasonable. Right? So, how do we find, or how do we define how do we define the term reasonable? So that we are going to answer as we go along with our discussion on the fundamental concepts of search and warrant. So, right. So the question now is, what is search warrant? Okay. So accordingly, a search warrant is a written order, and normally this is signed by a judge directing a law enforcement officer to conduct a search of a person or property and seize property specified in the warrant. So that will be the technical definition. Now, if we are to break down the certain elements, the certain requisites or requirements for the issuance of a search warrant, it is normally found in its technical definition. So, a search warrant shall be issued only upon, number one, probable cause. Second requisite or second requirement, it must be in connection with one specific offense. Third requisite or requirement, it must be, or rather, the probable cause must be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses presented. And lastly, the search warrant shall particularly describe the place to be searched and the things to be seized, which may be anywhere in the Philippines now. So, what are the explanations, or what does it mean to comply with these particular requisites or requirements prior to the issuance of a search warrant? So normally, prior to the issuance, it must be based upon probable cause. Right? So accordingly, in connection with the subject of search warrants, probable cause has been defined as such reasons supported by facts and circumstances that will warrant a cautious man in the belief that this action and the means taken in prosecuting it are legally just and proper. So that's the first requirement. Second, it must be in connection with one specific offense only. Take note of this one. Now, there have been a common misconception regarding this one. Take a look, for example. What has been indicated in the search warrant is, or rather, the search warrant, for example, a search warrant was issued for illegal traffic of narcotics and contraband. Now, following the concept of the second requirement before the issuance of search warrant, this is fatally defective. Fatally defective in the sense that first, the issue that is being pointed out are complex. It pertains to two separate violations, and that is the illegal traffic of narcotics and the illegal traffic of contraband. Can you follow? Kasi what is being required is that the probable cause that has been the requirement or that has been the basis in the issuance of search warrant must be in connection with one specific offense only. So therefore, the search warrant issued for illegal traffic of narcotics and contraband is, as I said earlier, fatally defective, considering that the latter, the term contraband, is a generic term covering all goods exported from or imported into the country contrary to applicable statutes. So, lahat ng bagay, imported man or exported, that is not in accordance with the custom law of that particular country can be considered as a contraband. On the other hand, when we speak of narcotics, we are talking about prohibited drugs. Can you follow? So therefore, more than one offense could arise from the activity designated as illegal traffic of narcotics and contraband. So lastly, in the recent case of Dizon versus Honorable Castro, the Supreme Court nullified the search warrant issued for two offenses, namely violation of RA number 1700 as amended and PD number 33. Now, so the point being here is that when you try to apply for a search warrant, that particular search warrant must be in connection with one specific offense only. So, question, sir, what if madami yung violations or kumbaga multiple yung offenses? What are you going to do? Hello, what are you going to do? Miss Gabuya. Miss Gabuya? Hello? Is Miss Perez here?
Siya ba?
Sir.
Yes. Miss Perez, what about you? What is your opinion?
Okay, sir. So, if the question here let me just unmute. Okay, sir. So, based on the question, sir, so the general rule for this one is to limit the specific offense into one in the warrant, sir. It's because we're trying to avoid here na mag-fishing expedition yung police officer na kumbaga they will continue to collect things that are not relevant, but if in the event could it be possible na sila, sir, like could they write something based on the application to the judge noting that this certain operation that they will do, it could be possible na maraming offenses kagaya ng sa drugs. Could it be possible, I'm not really sure, sir, because as what I've learned from our previous discussion or our previous topic from first year, sir, the general rule is that only one offense to avoid fishing expedition with regards to the police. But if the best thing that the police officer can do, he can write an application to the judge stating his reasons for them to issue something like that siguro, sir. Kung pwede man siguro.
Now, with regards to the issue on fishing expedition, actually we have this we have the concept of we have the concept of inevitable discovery, right? We have this particular concept, inevitable discovery doctrine. So, kumbaga, kahit na wala man siya, were it not for the active effort on the part of the law enforcer, that particular contraband would have been discovered also, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, generally speaking, so say for example, you have applied, di ba, ang requirement could be, it should be in connection with one specific only. But since nandun na kayo, and then kung ang in-apply ninyo na search warrant is valid, or rather is in connection only with say for example, for violation of RA 9165, right? And that is the trafficking. And then may nakita kayong baril, may nakita kayong iba pa na mga contrabands, then although it has not been specified in the particular search warrant, then you can seize those particular illicit na mga whatever illicit things that you have discovered doon sa area wherein you observed your search warrant. But the main purpose aside from fishing expedition is normally it would be in a way makaka-create siya ng confusion, particularly doon sa parang to provide safeguard also on the part of the person that is being searched, right? So that is the main reason as to why it should be in connection with one specific offense only, right? Now, the third requisite. Sorry. Going back to my question, what if there are multiple offenses? Could you can you apply for another search warrant? Hello. Marcos?
Para sa akin, sir, hindi.
Hello. Yes, Mr. Marcos. Hindi, you cannot apply for another search warrant. Why?
Hello, sir. Madungo ka sir?
Ha?
Hello. Pakalaang siya, sir.
Nag-feedback, Mr. Marcos. Asan ka ngayon, Mr. Marcos?
Nandito lang ako, sir.
Hopefully hindi ka nanonood ng Grand Prix ngayon sa Singapore.
Sir, nandito ako, sir.
All right, going back. So let us proceed. Okay, Mr. Marcos, thank you. All right, going back.
Hello, sir. Sir, Marcos, sir.
Okay na, Mr. Marcos.
Nawala lang network.
Sige, okay na. All right, going back. As for the third requirement, prior to the issuance of a search warrant, this particular probable cause must be determined personally by the judge. So, Pamaran 2012 mentioned that as the Supreme Court firstly puts it, a search warrant must conform strictly to the requirements of the constitutional and statutory provisions under which it was issued. Otherwise, it is void. Then, for the last requirement, for the issuance of the search warrant, it must particularly describe the place to be searched and the things to be seized. Alright? So particularly describe the place to be searched and the things to be seized. So this is now actually what Ms. Perez have stated earlier regarding the concept of fishing expedition. So the reason being as to why the place to be searched and the things to be seized is being listed or is being described in the search warrant, that is to prevent yung fishing expedition. Okay? So the evident purpose and intent of this requirement is to limit the things to be seized to those and only those particularly described in the search warrant. So leaving the officers of the law no discretion regarding what articles they shall seize, to the end that unreasonable searches and seizures may not be made and that abuses may not be committed. So this is actually the very main purpose as to why we must particularly describe what are the things to be searched, or what are the places to be searched and what are the things to be seized, because as our constitution provides, kumbaga, protection against unreasonable searches and seizure. Now, where do we apply for search warrant? So commonly, number one, to any court within whose territorial jurisdiction a crime was committed. So assuming the crime was committed in Cebu City or in the province of Cebu, then that particular, or you can, as a police officer, you can apply for a search warrant within the territorial jurisdiction of Cebu. Right? Then, what about if say for example, there are reasons wherein possible if mag-apply kayo within the territorial jurisdiction wherein the crime was committed, possible is makompromise yung purpose ng pag-serve ng search warrant or for any other compelling reason. So, as a police officer, you may also apply to any court within the judicial region where the crime was committed, provided that the place of the commission of the crime is known, or any court within the judicial region where the warrant shall be enforced. Alright. Are you familiar with the case of Kerwin Espinosa? Hello.
Wala, sir.
Kerwin Espinosa, hindi nyo kilala si Kerwin?
Kato ng drug lord, sir.
Kilala nyo si Lima?
Yes, sir. Former senator.
Yes, former senator. Kaninong confession yung pinakamabigat, or kaninong testimony yung nagpakulong kay Dilima? Hello? Miss Gatmin?
Yes, sir.
Do you know? Do you know Kerwin Espinosa?
Yes, sir. Yung drug lord, sir. And I think siya yung yung confession niya, sir. Yun yung yung confession niya yung nagpa-convict ka Lima, sir.
Nagpa-convict? Is she already convicted?
Kung sir, napa-detain, sir.
Na-issue yung warrant of arrest based doon. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, kilala nyo yung tatay ni Kerwin Espinosa. Si Rolando Espinosa. Hindi niya kilala?
Yes, sir. Yung former mayor, sir, ng Leyte. Di ba, sir, ano na patay na, sir?
Former mayor ng Albuera, Leyte. Right? Oh. Tapos, what happened to former Mayor Rolando Espinosa? Ms. Gatmin,
Ano, sir, he was killed in the detention cell.
and then, ano yung reason? What transpired?
Ano, sir, yung the police officer, sir, na nag-serve ng warrant, sir, for his arrest, sir, kay kanang he was killed because he was allegedly keeping a firearm there, sir, or a gun sa iyang detention cell.
So, sino yung nag-issue ng search warrant? Do you know the facts of the case, or do you know the important facts in that particular case of Mr. Rolando Espinosa? Are you familiar, Ms. Gatmin?
Not all the facts, sir. Yun lang yung
Alright.
kanina. Sorry.
But a search warrant has been issued, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, to give you an idea as to what really happened, Albuera, Leyte is a municipality adjacent to Ormoc City, Leyte. Sino yung nakapunta na ng Leyte sa inyo? Wala pa?
Wala pa, sir.
Wala pa. So normally, say for example, sakay kayo ng barko, o di kaya to go, o di kaya ocean jet. Pagdating ng Ormoc City, Leyte, kasi yun yung mga common na seaports dito sa Leyte. Pagdating sa Ormoc is katabi lang yung Albuera, Leyte. Right? Albuera, Leyte. Tapos, yung Albuera, Leyte is I think two and a half hour drive to Tacloban City. So that is approximately more or less 150 kilometers. More or less yan. Okay, more or less yan. 150 kilometers or 100 kilometers. Ilagay natin dyan. However, the search warrant issued was applied not in Tacloban City. Saan sila nag-apply? Sa Samar. Tacloban at saka Samar. Tacloban is sa Leyte province yan. Samar is another province. Leyte and Samar is connected by San Juanico Bridge. Right? Paglagpas mo ng San Juanico Bridge, Samar side, first municipality would be Santa Rita, Samar. And then Santa Rita, mula dyan sa paglagpas mo ng San Juanico Bridge, I think meron pang mga 10 to 15 kilometers until doon sa town proper ng Santa Rita. Tapos, from Santa Rita to Kapbalogan, another mga more or less 60 kilometers pa yan. Right? So the question is, bakit sila, instead of applying in Tacloban City, Leyte, regional trial courts, why did they apply doon sa Samar? Di ba? So that's the big question during those time. So accordingly, the reason that was given by the operatives, those who applied for the search warrant, they mentioned that the reason being as to why they applied in Samar is primarily because they are avoiding na matiktikan sila ni Espinosa. Why? Because during that time, it is believed na masyadong malawak yung extent ng influence ng mga Espinosa because of that particular drug trade. Right? So to avoid yung matiktikan sila, makatunog in advance si Espinosa, they applied ng mas malayo. Alright? So, that is a compelling reason. Tinanggap yun ng judge. So that's why a search warrant was issued. So this falls under the second circumstance wherein saan pwede mag-apply ng search warrant. However, let me ask you, is Ms. Perez still here?
Yes, sir.
Alright. I have given to you some of the facts doon sa nangyari. So, they have applied for a search warrant, right? And Mr. Espinosa is in Baybay City Jail. Baybay City is also a neighboring town of Albuera. So, Baybay to Ormoc is more or less 50 kilometers, 30 to 50 kilometers. Now, they have made this effort to apply for a search warrant in Samar. Why do you think so that they have applied for a search warrant?
Yes, sir. So the main reason why I think they applied for search warrant to Summers, it was already stated earlier that they were trying to avoid being detected because again, considering that he was once a mayor, that means he might have a hold with the in the regional trial courts, municipal trial courts, or any thing that has in jurisdiction with Leyte. So it could be prudent also with the part of the police officers to apply for the search warrant in Samar, considering that this second option for search warrant, you can apply for a search warrant in any judicial region if ever there is not yet applicable sa certain area nyo. Considering that case, so we can still say that it is valid, and given that certain circumstances that was noted in the scenario, it is very prudent on the police part for them to really search or determine whether the mayor or Rolando Espinosa does really have those alleged katong sa sir, drugs, sir ba?
But let me ask you, Ms. Perez, why would you apply for a search warrant if the place to be searched is in a city jail?
Sa city jail, okay. Wait, sir.
Di ba? That's the big question there. Why would you apply for a search warrant if the place to be searched is within a confined area? In fact, the BGMP Baybay can conduct Operation Greyhound.
It could be said possible, sir, na even if he was detained in the cell, he could have links in there, sir, to search, or the BGMP officers could have cover up if ever they want to search. They could have falsified something, sir. So the very idea na sa other, like hindi lang sa mga officials sa BGMP yung mag-search, is that para din we have this like may witnesser ba na hindi lang sila nga naa dun sa lugar kasi ang tendency kasi madali lang i-falsify kung sila lang yung magkakonduct ng isang search warrant sa isang place, considering na walang outsider, kumbaga magiging parang walang kwenta na lang yung pagsa-search nila kapag sila lang naman yung magsa-search. Kaya it could be possible that he could have links with the BJMP alone. So it could be possible, sir, na with that, given that circumstances, they need someone from the outside to really justify if there are things that needs to be confiscated within that certain confinement, sir.
Mhm, mhm. But on the part of the BGMP, would you not feel that you have been bypassed, considering that you have the full authority to conduct the Operation Greyhound?
Yes, sir. It for the police or for the BGMP's purpose, they could have been offended to the point na they have jurisdiction over their confinement. But what we're trying to say in here is that yung kumbaga transparency ng isang investigation with the public's in the public's eyes, sir ba? Kumbaga. Kasi kung for example, kung kami may kaklase kami na naka-violate na isang rules, we could have cover up for something like that kasi it could reflect us man, sir, as a section if ever we were caught cheating. For example, for a certain exam we were somebody was cheating, so to protect the integrity of our section we could have cover up their mess para lang mako-question kasi sila if ever there are things that needs to be confiscated or kapag may nakita talaga doon, then that means na nagkulang sila as officers. Kasi nandun na yun eh. Bakit pa nakapasok? That's the main question here. Kung yan yung case, sir.
Given. But how would they explain the CCTV footage that was gone missing after the operation?
I'm not really familiar with the case, sir. So, just to confirm, sir, ha, there was for example, my other officers na nag-conduct ng search warrant sa within the confinement, sir. Tapos after nun, wala nang CCTV na nakita sila doon.
Because they were saying na bumunot si Rolando Espinosa. That's why they shot him, which eventually led to his demise. And after the operation, the CCTV footage or the footage of the CCTV that is inside the jail where the operation have transpired have gone missing. Diba? So, there are lots of scenarios, there are lots of possibilities, there are lots of explanations regarding the case of the former Mayor Rolando Espinosa. That's why it is very interesting to give this particular case to my students because during that time, di ba, kasi mostly polarized na if you are to say something against war on drugs, then the notion is that you are against it, di ba, during that time. But syempre, as criminology students, as criminologists, we really need to understand what is really happening. We really need to take into considerations all the factors, all the circumstances surrounding a particular event. Diba? We really need to apply. That's why this is a very beautiful topic. That's why I always include this particular topic whenever I discuss search and seizure. Right? So hopefully, I have made some clarifications regarding the some of the essential concepts regarding search and seizure. Right? So that's for the second instance or second instance wherein you can apply for a search warrant. And then lastly, so if in cases wherein a criminal action or a criminal case has already been filed over a certain person, then normally the application shall only be made in the court wherein the criminal action is pending. So medyo specific na as to where you can apply for a search warrant. Now, in the conduct of search and seizure, the following properties may be the objects of a search warrant. Number one, properties which are the subject of the offense. Second, stolen, embezzled proceeds or fruits of the offense. Say, for example, in cases wherein robbery, theft, or anything wherein a certain property has been taken away, then it is, or rather, this may be an object or subject for a search warrant. What about for drug cases? Say, for example, if it has been proven na yung motor is a fruit doon sa kanyang acts of drug dealing, then that could also be subjected to search or subjected to seizure. Next, lastly, objects including weapons, equipment, and other items used or intended to be used as the means of committing an offense. So by nature, search warrants, the main purpose of search warrant is to seize yung mga things that are illegal. Okay? So, say for example, or rather, you have to take note that the objects that are illegal per se, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, even if not particularly described in the search warrant, may be seized under the plain view doctrine. So, to give you an illustrative example, the raiding team stormed the room of Joshua and found what they were looking for, high-caliber firearms. Incidentally, they were able to recover illegal drugs also. So, following these particular concepts, that considering na illegal siya, then this may be subject for seizure. So accordingly, although not particularly described in the search warrant, these drugs can be seized because they are inherently illegal. Right? So that these are the things, or these are the properties that may be objects of the search warrant. Now, let us proceed with the validity of a search warrant.
Perfectly. Plays. Kanto ko to siya. Dual ka bo. Ang Karen. Ang Ayan. Sentence niyo kuan? Answer?
Sir, mute ka, sir.
Sorry. Going back. Sorry. As to the validity of search warrant, it is entirely different from that of a warrant of arrest. If you will recall, the validity of a warrant of arrest as we have discussed during our previous meeting, there is this so-called statutory period, if you can still remember, statutory period of 10 days, wherein the warrant officer, when after 10 days, the warrant have not yet been served, then the warrant officer will have to go to the issuing court and then make a report stating the reasons, compelling reasons, as to why that particular warrant have not yet been served. Right? When we speak of search warrant, strictly its validity is only good for 10 days from the date of issuance, and it may be served at any day within the said period. Thereafter, accordingly, it shall be void. Now, you have to know that if in the implementation of the search warrant, nandito na tayo sa letter B, the object or purpose cannot be accomplished in one day, the search can be continued the following day or days until completed, provided it is still within the 10-day validity period of the search warrant. Right?
Guys,
So, if pasok pa rin siya sa 10-day validity period. However, if lalagpas na ng 10-day validity period, then the responsible police officer that who will conduct or that is conducting the search must file before the issuing court an application for the extension of the validity period of the said search warrant. Right? So yung first provision, which states that the warrant shall be valid for 10 days, okay na tayo dyan. Klaro tayo dyan. Punta tayo sa letter B. Ba? Punta tayo sa letter B. Hypothetical question. Si Juan, along with his teammates and their team leader Pedro, they have served a search warrant over a certain Maria doon sa, say for example, Tacloban City. Alright? Tapos, nung pagpunta nila doon is, although na-search nila yung bahay, they were not able to find kung ano yung, or rather, meron silang nakuha. May nakuha sila. Tapos, tapos na yung search, right? Katapos niyan is, after, on the 7th day, yung team leader nila is, kumbaga, whimsically, bigla lang niyang naisipan, balik tayo doon sa bahay nila Maria kasi parang feeling ko may kulang pa. Hindi natin nakita yung sinasabing baril o di kaya kung ano man yan. Bumalik sila doon sa bahay ni Maria. Sinearch nila ulit. Question. Legal ba? May basehan ba yung ginawa ng raiding team nila Juan? Why?
No, sir.
Why, Miss Perez?
As noted in the wait, sir. Okay, so as noted in the explanation below, sir, like a search warrant can only be used once. Therefore, it becomes sanctus official. So regarding the first situation, sir, one had already completed the search. Therefore, there is no need to continue like na search na nila yung like they had completed the search, and then given the certain provision of the validity of the search warrant, then they cannot use the same warrant to do another search or raid given na natapos na nila yung search warrant nung nakaraang
Hello, Miss
araw.
Perez?
Yes, sir. Ah, yes, sir.
Yes, medyo nawala kasi yung ano mo, nawala kasi yung signal mo.
Okay, sir. Should I need to
Nandun ka na sa ano, I think doon sa, since na-serve na siya,
yes, sir. Ako sa idol, ako laptop, sir.
sige.
I was trying to use my headset man. Thus it's not working. Okay. So, given sir na the first situation notes that Juan had already searched Maria's house, given that they had completed that one, so there's actually the warrant has been served. Therefore, they cannot use the same warrant to search Maria's house again because there is no sense of continuity given na natapos nila yung search within that day, sir. Kaya, given na ang issuance lang ng warrant of arrest is good for one, tapos wala na yung function pagkatapos niyan ma-serve, sir. So therefore, the intrusion of the police officers to Maria's house, illegal na po yun. Hindi na po yun legal kasi tatapos na yung validity ng search warrant.
Can we not apply the second provision with regards to the validity of the search warrant? It's still within the 10-day validity period.
Pero na-complete naman nila, sir, di ba? Tapos yung this rule, however, does not apply where the search was not completed in one day. Given na sinabi na sa situation natin kanina na na-complete nila, na-search na nila yung certain place na noted in the search warrant. So, the owner of the place being searched was so made to understand the warrant. Okay, good authority and authority.
Alright, diba? But kasi we have to make clear of the term complete here, right? Because this is a common mistake, or this is a common misconception on the part of my students, because every time I ask them whether or not the conduct of the search is already illegal, considering that they have conducted the search on the first day, and then they have the conducted search on the seventh day. So most students would answer that there is really no violation. Okay, but actually the answer of Ms. Perez is on point. But we just have to make sure, or we just have to make clear of the term completed. Because based on the given scenario, so actually, the conduct of the search has already been completed. Diba? If we are to really analyze, andun yung word na whimsically. Right? Whimsically. So, kumbaga, base lang sa kagustuhan ng yung officer is sinerch nila ulit. So technically speaking, that is not valid, considering that in the first place the search has already been completed. Now, yung second provision na pinag-uusapan natin dito on the part of the validity of search warrant, ang sabi dito is if in the implementation of the search warrant, its object or purpose cannot be accomplished in one day, so meaning to say it is not yet complete. So that's really my main point here. How do we know if it is complete? Diba? How do we know na mayroong pang mga succeeding na mga ano? So hence, as police officers, if really the search cannot be finished in one day only, then say for example, natapos na kayo sa pangunang araw, then you have to let the owner of the place being searched, you have to let them understand of that particular fact. Diba? You have to let them know, you have to let them understand the reason being as to why you need to come back on the second day, on the third day, on the fourth day, until such time na matapos yung pag-serve or yung pag-search ninyo doon sa bahay. Because we cannot disregard the fact that maybe possibly merong mga ibang lugar na assuming masyadong malawak yung lugar or masyadong komplikado yung terrain or yung location ng lugar. That's why it could take, or rather one day is not enough to finish searching the entire place. So those are the main reasons. So yun, for the concept or for the idea of being complete. So that's why we really need to put a fine demarcation line with regards to that. Hence, we need to observe those practice, right? So if there is really a need, if it is within the 10-day validity period and there is really a need to continue your search on the second day, third day, or fourth day, then it must be that the owner of the place being searched was so made to understand. Diba? Sabi dito sa explanation, a search warrant can be used only once. Thereafter, it becomes punctus officio or wala na siyang gamit. Okay? It cannot be used every day for 10 days or for a different purpose each day. And after the articles for which the warrant was issued have been seized, the same warrant cannot be used as authority to make another search. This rule, however, does not apply where the search was not completed in one day. So ito na yung pinag-uusapan natin. And had to be continued the following day. So ito na yung basic na requirement dyan. If needed be na kailangan mag-continue, dapat aware, dapat alam, dapat naiintindihan ng owner kung bakit there is a need to continue your search. Alright? So, that's it. Any clarifications or any questions so far?
Sir, ask ko, sir ba? What if dili mo sagot ang
Sige.
owner?
What if dili mo sugot ang owner nga mo balik mo?
Yes, sir.
In the first place, that is a search warrant. Wala siyang magagawa. Wala siyang magagawa. Kasi that is a search warrant. Lawful order yan. Also, kumbaga, di ba, if the police officer, they deem it as extremely important kung bakit kailangan nilang i-continue the following day, then irrelevant whether or not hindi mag-consent yung owner ng bahay, building, apartment, or whatever it is na saan kayo search.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other clarification?
None so far, sir.
Thank you. Ito, technical ito. Form ng search warrant. So, the search warrant must be in writing. Hindi siya verbal, diba? O, the same thing with that of a warrant of arrest. It must be in writing and must contain such particulars as to the name of the person against whom it is directed, the offense for which it was issued, the place to be searched, and the specific things to be seized. Likewise also, it must contain a directive to law enforcement officers to search the place therein unequivocally identified. What do we mean by this? So dapat there is a particular sentence or there is a particular wordings in the search warrant wherein the judge is giving a direct order doon sa peace officers natin. Right? Then, lastly, the warrant must bear the signature of the judge issuing it. Time of search. The warrant should be served during daytime unless there is a provision in the warrant allowing service at any time of the day or night. But generally speaking, search warrant are served during daytime. So what do you need to do when you are applying for search warrant? Right? So, aside from the form of the search warrant, ano yung mga dapat na contents doon sa search warrant? So, sabi dito, when you are applying for a search warrant, it must be approved for filing by the Chief of Office. And then, the application for search warrant shall indicate the following data. Yung pangalan ng office ninyo that is applying for the search warrant, yung pangalan ng officer applicant, yung pangalan ng subject o yung may-ari ng bahay, kung saan kayo mag-serve ng search warrant, yung address or yung lugar that is to be searched, at saka yung mga specific statement of things or articles to be seized. Ulit-ulitin ko lang ito ha, yung specific statement of things or articles to be seized, or yung particular description of the articles or things that needs to be seized. Then, another is the sketch of the place to be searched. So, accordingly, all approved applications shall be recorded in a logbook, duly maintained for the purpose, indicating the name of the applicant, name of the respondent, nature of the offense, and date of the application. Now, what will happen now if pagpunta nyo doon, magsaserve kayo ng search warrant, tapos ni-refuse or hindi kayo pinagbuksan ng pinto? So the same thing with that of an arrest. As a police officer, you are given the authority to break open any outer or inner door or window or any part of the house or anything therein to implement the warrant or to liberate yourself or any person lawfully aiding him when unlawfully detained. So, klaro tayo dyan ha. Now, what are the prohibited acts? Ano yung mga ipinagbabawal gawin sa inyo pag nagkakandak kayo ng search by virtue of a search warrant? Number 1, houses, rooms, or other premises shall not be searched except in the presence of the lawful occupant. Dapat andun yung lawful occupant, kung sino yung may-ari ng bahay, okay, or any member ng kanyang pamilya, or in the absence of the latter, the presence of 2 witnesses of sufficient age and discretion residing in the same locality. So, normally, given na to, say for example, what if apartment, what if boarding house, tapos yung specific room lang. So, normally, you have to coordinate with the landlord. And, ang common naman na practice kasi ng mga officers natin, is they try to coordinate with the barangays, if needed be. So, they try to produce